One random Wednesday, my entire 3-year relationship blew up because of a screenshot. Not from my boyfriend, from a foreign girl I'd never met, who somehow knew what he ate for dinner, where he lived, and his big dreams for the future. According to her, he was single. According to him, she was lying. And according to the anonymous chat logs I eventually found, I was the one who didn't exist. Stay with me, because by the time I was done, I had catfished my own boyfriend, ruined his favorite fantasy about himself, and walked away with a kind of revenge he never saw coming. People always say you can tell when someone's cheating. Your gut knows. The vibe changes. Their phone suddenly becomes a second spine. None of that happened with Daniel. For almost 3 years, he was my solid thing, my we met in college and maybe this is it person. We met freshman year in a history of political thought class, because of course we did. I was the girl in the front row with winged eyeliner and a short skirt, color-coded notes, and a Pinterest board full of outfits I'd never actually wear in my tiny Midwestern hometown. He was the guy with the worn-out backpack and dog-eared books about revolutions and national heroes, who could talk for an hour straight about why his country's history was misunderstood. He wasn't American. He was here on a scholarship, obsessed with his homeland, always saying, "One day I'll go back and change things." I loved the way his eyes lit up when he talked about it. It made me feel like I was dating someone big, someone with a purpose. Our story started simple. Group project, late-night library sessions, coffee that turned into dinner, dinner that turned into walking me back to my dorm in the rain. He was gentle, thoughtful, even shy. "Can I kiss you?" he'd ask under a flickering street lamp, water beating on his hair. I remember thinking, this is a guy who will never hurt me. That's how young I was. For a long time, we were good. Not perfect, but good. He made me playlists and midnight pasta that was always a little too salty. I helped him with essays, edited his application letters, listened to him rant about politics, even when I was exhausted. There were red flags, sure. The first time he told me I'd look more respectable if my skirt was below my knees, I laughed it off. "I've been dressing like this since high school, Daniel," I said, twirling in front of him so the hem swirled around my thighs. He frowned, just a little. "Yeah, but where I'm from, people judge. I just want you to be safe." Safe, respectable, modest. Words that sounded like care, but felt like a cage. I tried to explain that clothes were how I expressed myself, that I wasn't trying to provoke anyone. I just liked feeling a little bold, a little powerful. He'd sigh. "I know you love me. Sometimes I wish you didn't need everyone's attention." That's done. But I folded. I started adjusting my outfits around him, pulling down hems, throwing on big jackets, saving my bolder looks for when we weren't together. That was the first little betrayal, the one I committed against myself. I didn't see it that way. I called it compromise. The second little crack came months before everything blew up, when he became obsessed with talking to foreigners. He'd say, "People here don't understand my country, but online, there are chat rooms with people from everywhere. Anonymous debate, politics, culture. I can learn so much." I shrugged at first. "Okay, sounds intense." He laughed. "You don't like politics." "That's not true," I protested. "I just don't like 3-hour monologues about tax policy." He grinned, kissed my forehead, and went right back to his phone. I thought it was harmless. I thought it was just another hobby. I didn't know that one day an anonymous chat would walk into my life and burn it all down. By the end of that summer, we'd been together just under 3 years. We'd done everything couples our age do. Road trips, winter breaks apart, awkward family introductions over FaceTime. But the whole modesty thing never really went away. In late August, I bought a dress for a party. Silky, champagne-colored, low back, hit mid-thigh. It was the kind of dress that made me feel like the main character. When I stepped out of the bathroom and did a little spin, I expected the usual teasing. You're gonna kill me wearing that. Instead, Daniel's face shut down. You're not wearing that, he said. I laughed, waiting for the smile that never came. No, seriously, you like it? I know it's a little... He cut me off. You're not going out like that with me. Something in me snapped. Excuse me? He stood up, jaw clenched. You know I don't like it when you dress like this. You're my girlfriend, not some... Careful, I said, my voice suddenly cold. He ran his hands through his hair and groaned. Lena, I'm serious. My parents follow us on Instagram. My friends back home see you. They will think I have no respect. They will think you have no respect. Why do you need to show so much? I stared at him, heat rising in my chest. This is how I dress. I have always dressed like this. Before you, during you, after you, if there is an after. The word hung there. He flinched. Are you threatening to break up with me over a dress? No, I said. I'm saying you're trying to change me, and I'm not okay with that. We argued for hours. He said I didn't understand cultural differences. I said he didn't understand autonomy. Finally, exhausted and shaking, I told him to leave. Maybe we both meant it. Maybe neither of us did. But he grabbed his backpack, muttered something in his language that I couldn't catch, and slammed the door. We were broken up for 5 days. The weird thing is, in those 5 days, he texted me every single day. I miss you. I can't sleep without your voice. I'm sorry. I just want what's best for you. What's best for me? I wore the dress anyway, by the way. I went to the party with my friends, hair up, heels on, chest tight, but chin high. I danced too hard, drank a little too much, laughed too loud. And every few hours, I'd check my phone. He never stopped writing, and I never stopped reading. On day 5, he showed up outside my building with a small bouquet of grocery store flowers and red-rimmed eyes. I can't lose you over clothes, he said. I love you. I will try to be less strict. I believed him because I wanted to. We got back together. We kind of swept the fight under the rug and called it growth. But looking back, those 5 days matter. Because later, when it all came out, I'd find out what he was really doing while he was texting me how much he missed me. And it wasn't crying into his pillow. The message came on October 7th. I remember the date because I had just finished midterms and was lying face down on my bed, brain fried, scrolling through TikTok in that mindless post-exam haze. My phone buzzed with a DM request on Instagram. I almost ignored it. The username was something like @foreignhistorynerd, with a flag in the bio that matched Daniel's country. Her profile picture was a girl around my age with dark hair and a shy smile. I tapped it open. Hi, I really need to talk to you. It's about your boyfriend. Please don't ignore this. My stomach did a weird little flip. I clicked on her profile. A handful of travel pictures, some food, a dog, a couple of selfies. It didn't look like a bot account. I typed back, "Who are you?" and watched the typing bubble flicker on and off like a heartbeat. I'm sorry. My name is Anya. I'm from your country. I think your boyfriend has been talking to me on an anonymous chat. He told me about his love of history and politics, about living in the dorm with his friends, the food he cooks. It sounded exactly like him. Someone I know recognized him from Insta and sent me your profile. I didn't know he was in a relationship. He told me he was single. I sat up slowly, the room narrowing to just that tiny screen. I asked for proof. She sent one screenshot. It was a chat interface I didn't recognize, simple, dark mode, messages stacked like any typical anonymous app. His username was blurred, but the avatar was a photo I knew. Not his face, but the plate of pasta he always bragged about making, the one he'd posted on his story a couple of weeks back with the caption, "Chef Mode." In the screenshot, his message read, "I live with my friends in the dorm. I cook for them a lot, haha. Maybe one day I cook for you too." Her reply had a little heart emoji. My chest went cold. "Okay," I whispered to my empty room. Okay. I zoomed in. The date stamp at the top, October 2nd. We were very much together on October 2nd. I swallowed hard and typed, "Can you tell me everything?" What followed was like reading a script where my boyfriend was a character written by someone who wanted to hurt me specifically. She said they met on the anonymous chat on September 27th, just randomly matched. At first, they only talked politics, his favorite subject. She said, "He was so passionate. He talked about your country and mine, about history. He said he loves talking to foreigners about these things." Yeah, that sounded like him. "And then?" I asked. "Then it got personal. He asked about my family, my studies. He told me he doesn't want a relationship right now because he wants to do everything for his country, that a girl would be an obstacle. But he also told me he likes me, that maybe in the future we could be together." My vision blurred. "You told her you were single?" "Yes. I asked many times. 10, maybe. He said no girlfriend, no time for girlfriend. I only found out about you because a friend recognized his stories from his description and sent me a screenshot of you two." That's when I confronted him. He denied it. Then he left the chat. I deleted everything because it hurt, but I kept this one screenshot. She sent another message, almost apologetic. "I'm really sorry. I didn't know." I believed her. Not because of the screenshot. That alone could have been faked. But because of the details. His love for history, his constant talk about his country, the dorm, the cooking. She knew too much of our life for this to be some random catfish stunt. My hands were shaking when I called him. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, baby. How'd the exam?" "Who is Anya?" I cut in. There was a pause. Tiny. Almost not there. But I heard it. "Who?" "A girl from your country who sent me a screenshot of your anonymous chat where you told her you live with your friends, you cook for them, and you're single." Silence. Then, carefully, he said, "Lena, we only talked about politics." My throat tightened. "So you know who she is?" He exhaled. "You're overreacting. I go on anonymous chat to talk about my country, to explain things people never understand. I told you this." "You told her you'd cook for her." "That's just talk," he said, frustration creeping in. "You know how people flirt online. It's nothing. It meant nothing." "So you did flirt?" I said, heart pounding. He hesitated. "Not really. I was just being friendly." "Did you tell her you had a girlfriend?" The silence this time was louder. "I didn't think it was necessary," he said finally. "It was anonymous. It's not like we were going to meet." I laughed, a harsh, ugly sound I didn't recognize. "Not necessary. You told her 10 times you were single." "She's lying," he snapped suddenly. "You're just believing some stranger over me?" "She knew about your dorm, your friends, Your obsession with politics? I talk about those things with everyone. Maybe she follows me online. People know things. You told her you don't want a relationship because you want to focus on your country. You used me as your real-life girlfriend and told some random girl you're too dedicated to your mission to date. Do you understand how messed up that is? That's not what I said, he insisted. She's twisting my words. And the date? I demanded. She said you talked from September 27th to October 6th. We were together. So what, you just forgot to mention your girlfriend for a week and a half? He went quiet. Then he said, we were on a break. A cold, heavy thing dropped into my stomach. No, we were not. We broke up at the end of August for 5 days. Then we got back together. Are you seriously? He cut in quickly. That's when it was. It must have been those days. I was lonely. I just needed someone to talk to. You left me. I closed my eyes, trying to breathe through the pounding in my ears. Do you want to see the screenshot? I asked quietly. Because the date on it is October 2nd. There was a long beat. Send it, he said. I texted it to him and sat there, staring at the 3 dots as he typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, he called me back instead of answering in text. When I picked up, his voice was small. Okay. It wasn't in August. No kidding. He took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. That's all you have? I asked. Why did you lie? Because I panicked, he said, and I could hear him moving around like he was pacing his dorm room. I didn't want to lose you over something so stupid. Stupid, I repeated. Yes, stupid, he said, voice rising. Lena, it was just anonymous chat. I never met her. I never touched her. We talked about politics, yes. And yes, maybe I liked the attention. Maybe I said some things. But it meant nothing. I swear to you, I never stopped loving you. He started crying. I could hear it in his hitch of breath. I am an idiot, he said, words tumbling out. I was curious. It's just talking to foreigners. You know I like that. I should have told you. I should have said I was in the chat. But I didn't cheat. Not really. Please, Lena, please. I can't lose you. I sat there with tears running hot down my own face, hating that part of me still loved him so much. It physically hurt. Why did you not tell her you were in a relationship? I asked again, quietly. I don't know, he whispered, because it felt easier to pretend I was just myself, without responsibilities, just politics. Just ideas. I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it would matter. It mattered to me. I want to break up, I said. The words tasted like blood. He sobbed. No, please, no. Lena, I love you. You are my only real thing here. I swear I will delete everything. I will never go on those chats again. I will show you my phone. Anything. Please, give me one more chance. I wish I could tell you I stayed strong, that I hung up and blocked him and never looked back. But real life isn't that clean. For 3 years, he had woven himself into every part of my life, our friends, our routines, our plans. Letting go felt like free falling without a parachute. So when he came over that night, eyes swollen with this desperate, raw look I'd never seen on him before, and poured his heart out on my living room floor, I'll admit it, I cracked. He said all the right things. I was wrong. I will never talk to anyone on those apps again. You are the woman I want to marry. I don't care what you wear. I care about you. He kissed my hands, my forehead, every place he'd hurt with his words.
I will spend the rest of my life making this up to you, he whispered into my hair. And like a fool, or maybe just a human being who didn't want to lose the person she loved, I said yes. Okay, one last chance. I thought that would be the end of it. Lesson learned, mistake forgiven. But the thing about cracks is once they're there, pressure finds them. And I had no idea how much pressure was still coming.
For a while, he did everything right. He deleted the anonymous chat app in front of me. He changed his passwords and offered them without me asking. He texted constantly, sending selfies from the library, voice notes on his way to class. "I'm here," he'd say. "I'm not hiding anything." He complimented my outfits again, even the daring ones. "You look like yourself," he'd say softly, and I'd pretend that made me feel better. But trust doesn't regenerate like a lizard's tail. It doesn't just grow back. Every time his phone buzzed a little too long, my chest tightened. Every time he mentioned politics, that stupid anonymous app flashed in my mind like a red notification dot. 3 weeks after the DM, I still wasn't sleeping well. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with my heart racing, checking my phone like I was going to catch him in the act from miles away. One afternoon, he left his phone at my apartment by accident. He'd gone to the store to grab us snacks for a movie night. The second the door clicked shut, I stared at the phone on my coffee table like it was a snake. I didn't want to look. I also really, really wanted to look. If he's really changed, there'll be nothing. You'll feel better. That's how I justified it. His passcode was my birthday. He'd said it that way months ago, said it would remind him he was lucky. I picked up the phone, hands already sweating, and opened it. Messages, Instagram, email, all normal. It was the little folder tucked away in the last screen that caught my eye. A generic gray icon labeled Tools. I clicked it. Inside were random utility apps, notes, calculator, a calendar, and at the bottom, a small, minimalistic icon I didn't recognize. The anonymous chat app. I felt like someone had poured ice water down my spine. I tapped it open. It asked for a PIN. I closed my eyes, inhaled shakily, and typed my birthday again. It let me in. The chat list was empty. Completely wiped. No conversations, no matches, nothing. At first, that almost comforted me. Maybe he kept the app but really had stopped using it. Then I noticed a tiny clock icon in the corner. History. I clicked it. And there it was. A list of dates and times, just timestamps, no messages. But they told a story I didn't want to read. He had been active on the app almost every day during our 5-day break in August. The same days he'd been texting me that he missed me, that he was crying, that he had no one else to talk to. He had been on anonymous chat then, too. He had people to talk to. That was betrayal level 2. More recent dates were murkier. It looked like he'd wiped the newer activity, but he'd missed some older logs. One entry caught my eye. October 1st, 10:47 p.m. We had been on call that night, I remembered now, talking about an upcoming exam. He sounded distracted. I thought he was just tired. I sat there, holding his phone, my heart pounding in my ears. He came back maybe 10 minutes later, humming to himself, plastic bags rustling in his hands. When he saw me with his phone, his face went neutral in that way that isn't really neutral at all. "Hey," he said lightly, "you could have just called me." "Why is the anonymous chat app still on your phone?" I asked, my voice flat. He froze. "We talked about this," I continued. "You said you deleted it." "I reinstalled it," he said slowly, putting the bags down. But I haven't done anything. I just wanted to see if my account was still there. Curiosity. Curiosity? The same curiosity that made you tell a stranger you were single? His jaw tightened. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you never really stopped. Not in August, not in September, not in October. You were in there while we were on a break. You were in there while texting me how much you missed me. You were in there while we were back together. When exactly was I your girlfriend, Daniel? When you needed comfort? When you needed sex? When you needed someone to edit your essays? Because it sure as hell wasn't when you wanted attention. He stepped closer, hands up. Lena, listen to me. I didn't start any new conversations after we talked. I swear. The history you saw, those are old sessions. The app logs everything. I was just reading, browsing. I didn't talk to anyone. I laughed bitterly. Do you hear yourself? I'm just on the anonymous chat where I flirted with another girl and lied about you, but I'm not cheating because I didn't type anything this time? Are you serious? His eyes flashed with anger now, the tears gone. I am trying. I am trying to be better. I am trying to respect your feelings, but you keep digging and digging and digging. How can I prove anything to you if you don't want to trust me? Trust is not something you get to demand after lying. He grabbed his hair again, pacing. You know what? Maybe we're just not compatible. You want all this freedom with clothes. You don't care how people see you. You don't care about my culture. Oh, do not turn this into a cultural thing, I said coldly. You didn't forget to mention your girlfriend because of cultural differences. You did it because you liked being single to other people. You liked being the patriotic, tortured, dedicated guy with no distractions, while having me in the background doing girlfriend labor. He stared at me, breathing hard. Get out, I said quietly. He blanked. What? Get out, I repeated. We're done. He must have seen something in my face then, because his anger collapsed back into panic. Lena, no, please, please, he begged, stepping forward, reaching for me. I will delete the app. I will show you my search history, everything. I was stupid. I am stupid, but I love you. I love you. And odd help me, I believed he wanted to change. But I also believed he didn't know how not to chase attention whenever he felt lonely or bored. I can't do this again, I said, voice shaking. I will not spend years of my life playing detective to make sure the person who says he loves me actually respects me. He cried until his shoulders shook. I cried too. But underneath the grief, something else was forming. Something sharp. Because suddenly, walking away didn't feel like enough. He spent months, maybe longer, crafting this visual of himself as the noble, principled patriot, the guy too focused on his mission to be distracted by ordinary things like romance. And he erased me from that version of himself like deleting a line of text. If he could erase me so easily, I could erase something for him. That night, after he left, after the crying and pleading and bargaining, I sat alone in the dark with my laptop open, staring at the app logo on a Google search page. I downloaded it. If he liked strangers so much, he could have one more.
Creating an account took 30 seconds. Choosing a username took a little longer. I went with something simple, vague. A generic girl name plus a number. Nothing that screamed, "This is your ex-girlfriend out for blood." The app's interface was brutally straightforward. You hit connect, and it paired you with a random stranger, based on language and some interests. I scrolled through the interest tags. History. Politics. International relations. I selected them all. The first few matches were just random. awkward dudes saying, "Hi, ASL," like it was 2004 again. A girl venting about exams. Someone trying to practice English. I almost laughed at myself for thinking this would work. Maybe he'd already deleted his account by now. Maybe he was off being a better person somewhere else, while I was sinking down to his level. Just as I was about to give up, the next match popped up. You're now connected with Patriot Lion. I stared. My heart did a weird flip. That username, Daniel had once joked about using something like Patriot Lion online, said it sounded strong. I swallowed and typed, "Hi." There was a pause. "Hey, where are you from?" His typing style. The rhythm. The lack of emoji. I knew it was him. I pretended to be casual. "I'm from the US. You?" His country. "Cool. I don't know much about it, honestly." Most people don't. Of course. Within 10 messages, he was in his element, waxing poetic about the history of his homeland, its struggles, its heroes. I played the role he loved best. The foreign audience. The one who asked questions, who said, "Wow, that's so interesting, and I had no idea." Feeding his need to be the expert. I didn't flirt. Not at first. I wanted him comfortable. For 3 nights in a row, we met on the app. I made sure to use different devices, a VPN, anything to avoid slipping up. He kept coming back. "I like talking to you. You ask good questions." "I like listening," I wrote. Fingers trembling. "You're very passionate." "Passion is all I have. Haha. I can't waste time on other things." I stared at that line for a long time. So I asked the question Anya had asked. "No girlfriend?" He took a second. "No. Relationship is too distracting for what I want to do." I physically had to put my phone down and walk around my apartment so I wouldn't throw it at the wall. He didn't even hesitate. Just no. To him, I was gone, erased. I screenshotted everything. Over the next week, I slowly, carefully pushed the conversation into more personal territory. What do you do for fun? Do you cook? Do you live alone? He told me about his dorm, about his friends, about his late-night pasta, about how he'd love to cook for me one day if I ever visited his country. It was like watching him recycle the same lines he'd used on Anya, slightly edited. Occasionally guilt would flare up in my chest. I was catfishing my ex. I was manipulating him, baiting him. But then I'd remember his kneeling on my floor, swearing up and down that he would never hurt me again. And the guilt cooled into something else. Maybe I needed this to finally cut the cord. Maybe I needed to see exactly who he was when he thought I didn't exist. I realized pretty quickly that just having screenshots might not be enough. He'd already dismissed Anya's messages as lies. If I confronted him again with just texts, he could say the same thing. I needed something undeniable. His face, his voice. So I came up with the idea that made my stomach twist, but my brain light up. I messaged him as my fake persona. "Hey, I know this is kind of random, but would you ever want to voice call? Your English is really good, and I'd love to hear your accent." He replied almost immediately. "I don't like calls here. It's anonymous." "We can use another app," I wrote. "Just for a few minutes. You can still hide your face if you want. I just feel like I'm talking to a ghost. Haha." He didn't answer for a while. Then, maybe. I nudged gently over the next day or two, never too pushy. Finally, he agreed. We set a time. I created a new account on another platform, filled in with fake info, a profile picture pulled from a free stock image site. When the call finally came through,
I stared at the ringing screen, my heart slamming against my ribs. I didn't answer with video. Neither did he. "Hello?" he said, his voice slightly distorted by the connection. I almost forgot how to breathe. I said, "Hi," pitching my voice slightly higher than normal, flattening my American accent a bit, trying not to betray anything. He relaxed as soon as I complimented his English. Within minutes, he was talking like he always did on the phone with me, passionate, animated, funny in that dry way that had drawn me in years ago. He laughed at my jokes. He asked if I ever visited Europe. I said, "Maybe one day you come to my country. I show you everything." I said, "Maybe," and clicked the little screen record button, my thumb trembling. We talked for 30 minutes. In that half hour, he said the words I needed on tape. "Girlfriend?" I asked again casually. "No one back home?" He chuckled. "I told you, I don't have time for that. Girls are complicated. I need to focus on my country. I can't be emotionally available right now." He had been emotionally unavailable enough to cry into my shirt 3 weeks ago. When the call ended, I sat there in the dark with my phone in my hand and the recording saved to my camera roll. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt strangely calm. This wasn't about proving anything to myself anymore. I already knew. This was about holding a mirror up to the version of himself he thought he could get away with. He wanted to be the martyr. I was going to show him he was just a liar with a Wi-Fi connection.
More messages, more small flirtations, the kind he claimed meant nothing. I clicked to the next file before he could speak. The audio recording filled the room, his voice unmistakable. "Relationship is too distracting for what I want to do." "Is that my voice?" Malik asked, eyebrows shooting up. Daniel swallowed. "Lena, turn it off." I kept it playing. "I don't have time for that. Girls are complicated. I need to focus on my country. I can't be emotionally available right now." Samir looked at him slowly. "Didn't you just celebrate your anniversary with Lena like 2 months ago?" "Yes," I said. "We were together when he said this, to a stranger, online, after telling me she was lying and that they only talked politics. And just so we're clear, this isn't some old recording from the August break. I clicked to another file, a screen recording of the app's conversation log with my fake account. It showed date stamps from after our confrontation, after his promises. The text was clear. The rhythm of his replies familiar. No girlfriend? No. Relationship is too distracting? Daniel shot to his feet. "Okay, enough," he snapped. "You've made your point." "No," I said softly. "I don't think I have." He stared at me, fury and something like fear flickering in his eyes. "You catfished me," he said, incredulous. "You pretended to be someone else. You tricked me." "That's rich coming from you," I replied. "You lied to me in my face. You lied to your online audience about who you are. You lied to her. You lied to them." I gestured to his friends, who were sitting very still, like they were watching a car crash in slow motion. "This is insane," he said. "You're crazy. You could have just broken up with me. Instead, you do this? What are you trying to do? Humiliate me?" I held his gaze. "I'm trying to stop you from pretending your behavior is harmless just because it happens in anonymous chats. You treat people's hearts like practice debates. You call it curiosity. I call it cruelty." He laughed, harsh and humorless. "And what do you call this?" He waved at the TV. "This is revenge. This is sick." "Maybe," I said calmly. "But here's the difference. I'm not pretending to be a saint." His friends were both staring at the floor now. "Bro,"
Malik finally said quietly. Is any of this real? Daniel groaned, running his hands over his face. I didn't do anything, he burst out. I never met them. I never slept with anyone. It's just chat. Everyone talks to people online. It's not real. It was real enough for her, I said, nodding toward my phone where Anya's DM sat. She cried when she found out about me. It was real enough for me when you told another girl you were single while sleeping in my bed. And it was real enough when you recycled the same lines again after you promised you'd changed. He clenched his jaw, eyes shining. Congratulations, he spat. You ruined my friendships. Are you happy? I shook my head. I didn't ruin them, I said quietly. I just turned the lights on. I almost left it at that. I almost let that be the climax. But the twist was still coming. I took a breath. There's one more thing. He glared at me. What? What else could you have possibly done? I picked up a printed email from my coffee table, the one I'd sent days earlier. I told you I was done editing your story, so I figured someone else should know the truth too. I handed him the paper. He scanned it, his eyes moving quickly over the lines. His face went pale. You didn't, he whispered. I did. He looked up, voice shaking with fury. You sent this to the fellowship committee? Yes. You tried to destroy my future over some chats. I flinched at the word destroy, but held my ground. I didn't try anything. I sent them information. They'll decide what to do with it. He laughed, broken and disbelieving. You're vindictive, he said. I always knew you were dramatic, but this is evil. Integrity, remember? I said, repeating the word from his essay. That's what you wrote about. You said you wanted to be a leader, a model for your country. I thought they should see how their model treats people when he thinks no one will ever find out. For a second, I thought he was going to throw something. His fists were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. Then his shoulders dropped. He looked at his friends, at the TV, at me. All the fight seemed to drain out of him. You ruined my life, he whispered. No, I said softly. I just refuse to let you ruin mine in silence. Malik stood up slowly. We should go, he murmured to Samir. They shuffled out, awkward and quiet. The door clicked behind them. For a brief moment, it was just the two of us again, like it had been 100 times before, but the air was different now. He was different. Or maybe I was finally seeing him clearly. He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. What am I supposed to do now? He asked, muffled. Go home like a failure? Tell my parents I lost everything because my ex wanted revenge? Maybe, I said gently. You tell them you lost it because you couldn't be honest. With yourself, with anyone. He looked up at me, eyes red, jaw trembling. You really don't love me anymore? He asked. That hurt, because part of me still did. You don't switch off 3 years like a light. But I loved myself more than the version of me that would stay after this. I loved the person I thought you were, the one who cared so much about truth he'd rather lose than lie. I don't love the person who uses big words like integrity and sacrifice as cover for playing with people. He opened his mouth, closed it, shook his head. You're going to regret this, he said quietly. One day you'll remember I was the only one who really understood you. I smiled sadly. You didn't understand me at all, I said. You tried to edit me into someone your country would approve of. That's not understanding. That's control. I walked to the door and opened it. This is goodbye, Daniel. He stood, swaying a little, like his world had tilted on its axis. As he passed me, he paused.
"You think you won," he muttered, "but you just proved you're capable of anything when you're angry. No one will ever be safe with you either." I'd expected that. It's easier to call someone crazy than look at what you did. "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe the next person who dates me will know I don't tolerate being erased." He left. I closed the door and leaned against it, my heart pounding. The silence that followed was deep and strange. I waited for the rush, the victorious, soaring feeling movies promised when the bad guy gets what he deserves. It didn't come. Instead, my legs gave out and I slid to the floor shaking. Revenge doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like ripping out a piece of yourself that was tangled up with someone else and trying not to bleed out.
The email from the fellowship committee came a week later. Not to me, obviously. To him. But in small college communities, news travels fast. I heard it from a mutual friend who didn't know the whole story, just that something happened, and Daniel was devastated because he'd been rejected under review. Apparently, the committee had reconsidered his application in light of new information. He told people it was politics, that the program was biased, that they couldn't handle his truth. Maybe he even believed that. I didn't correct anyone. I had already done what I set out to do. In the weeks that followed, my emotions went through stages. Relief. I could finally sleep without wondering who he was messaging at 2 a.m. Guilt. Had I gone too far? Was messing with his fellowship an overreaction? Anger, again, when I remembered the kneeling and the crying and the promises that lasted exactly until the next notification. I started therapy, not because of him exactly, but because I realized how quickly I'd bent myself into shapes for someone who told me my clothes were a problem. My therapist, a calm woman with kind eyes, listened to the whole story. From the modesty fights, to the anonymous chats, to the revenge. I feel petty, I admitted, and kind of monstrous. I didn't just leave. I orchestrated an entire humiliation and messed with his career. "What do you wish you'd done?" she asked gently. I thought about it. I wish I'd walked away the first time, when he told me what to wear, or at least when I saw the app. But I didn't. I stayed. I tried to fix him. And then I tried to win. She nodded. Sometimes when we've been gaslit or minimized for a long time, revenge feels like the only way to prove we weren't crazy. Like we have to produce evidence, witnesses, consequences, so our pain becomes valid. I stared at my hands. So was I wrong? She paused. "I'm not here to judge you," she said. "I'm here to help you understand yourself. You were hurt deeply, multiple times. You tried talking. You tried forgiving. When nothing changed, you reacted in a way that made sense to the part of you that needed justice." "Justice," I repeated quietly. "Justice can be messy," she said. "What matters now is what you do with the space he used to take up." The space felt huge. I rediscovered things I'd set aside. I wore whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, without hearing his voice in my head. I went to parties and didn't check my phone every 10 minutes. I also cried randomly in grocery store aisles when a song reminded me of the way he used to sing off-key in my kitchen. You can grieve the good parts of someone and still be glad they're gone. One night, a month after the confrontation, my phone lit up with a DM notification. It was from Anya. "How are you?" I smiled a little. "Better," I typed. "Not great, but better." I saw he posted a long story about betrayal and people trying to silence him, she wrote. I snorted. Of course he did. "He is not the main character. You are." That made me tear up. We kept talking. Over weeks, then months.
We shared memes, political takes, silly selfies with bad lighting. We watched the same movies in different time zones and texted during the boring parts. She told me about her dog. I told her about my therapy homework. One evening, she wrote, "Funny how all of this started because he wanted to talk to foreigners." I laughed out loud. "Yeah," I replied. "He did bring us together in a twisted way." "I am glad we met," she wrote, "even if the reason was stupid boy." "Me too," I answered. We never became anything romantic, obviously. We were just two girls connected by a glitch in his moral code. But there was something healing about that friendship. About taking something he used as a private stage and turning it into a bridge between the people he'd hurt. Chapter 8. Final Reflection. It's been months now. Long enough that my first instinct when my phone buzzes at midnight isn't, "Is he cheating?" but "Who is sending me a meme?" Sometimes I still think about the fellowship, about his future. A small, sharp part of me wonders if I ruined something bigger than our relationship. If I took a boy with potential and sent him spiraling out of bitterness. But then I remember potential without accountability is just a bomb waiting for somewhere to go off. If he really wants to change his country, he'll have to learn to tell the truth first. To strangers, to friends, to girlfriends who wear short dresses and ask hard questions. And that lesson was coming for him one way or another. My revenge wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean or pure or entirely right. But it did something important for me. It broke the spell. For 3 years, I'd let him define what was respectable, what was important, whose feelings were dramatic. By the end of it, I was done letting a boy with a superiority complex and a Wi-Fi connection decide how much space I was allowed to take up. People will probably judge me for what I did. Some will say I went too far. Some will say he deserved more. That's okay. The point of telling this story isn't to convince anyone I'm the hero. It's to remind anyone listening that you're not crazy for noticing when someone erases you from their narrative. You're not overreacting when your body screams at you that something's wrong, even if there are no proofs yet. And sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't the humiliation or the emails or the perfectly timed reveal. It's the day you look at yourself in the mirror in the outfit he would have hated and think, "I am not too much. He was just not enough." So if you're watching this, wondering whether to believe the random girl who DM'd you about your boyfriend, believe the version of you that started feeling weird before the screenshot ever arrived. That part already knew. The screenshot is just the universe forwarding the receipts. Thank you for staying with me through this entire story. If you've ever been gaslit, erased, or made to feel crazy for asking basic questions, I hope this reminded you that your feelings are evidence too. Sometimes walking away is the real revenge. Sometimes it's a little messier than that. Either way, you deserve someone who doesn't need anonymity to tell the truth. If you want more stories like this, more messy healing, more receipts, more closure, check out the next video on your screen.